There are dump and solid giants. There certainly are when I use the toilet in the morning. Way! Now look, I'll admit calling games rip-offs is a little inflammatory, so please understand that when I do this it comes from a place of affection, and also just because I want to talk about stuff that is Sega adjacent. The history of video games essentially starts with developers ripping each other off. Pong doesn't exist without table tennis for the Magnavox Odyssey, Galaxian doesn't exist without Space Invaders, Arkanoid doesn't exist without Breakout, hell, Minecraft doesn't exist without Dwarf Fortress. The list goes on, and I honestly think that iterative design is so important to gaming that without it we don't have some of the greatest games ever. So I actually think it's kind of great that so many PlayStation developers were taking influence from Sega games and basically producing their equivalent to some of Sega's best games. And that's what we're really discussing today. We've also done videos on some other PS1 Sega inspired games in the past, like Rally D Africa, Project Gaia Ray, Gamera 2000, Jet Ace and Burning Road, so I'll link those in the video description if you want to see more games based on this subject. So let's take a look at 4 more PS1 games that take heavy influence from certain Sega games. Tenchi Dume is a 1998 strategy RPG developed by TGL. Now you may argue that this type of game has existed for a long time and even predates the game I think it's taking influence from, but there's a few key points here that I think relate it to this specific Sega title more than anything else. Tenchi Dume is clearly taking a lot of cues from 1996's Sakura Wars. You have a bunch of kids piloting mecha in a steampunk alternative past, which is almost identical to the plot of Sakura Wars. The battles take place in a turn-based isometric environment, and the mecha designs are extremely similar. The main difference here is that the plot takes a back seat to the action, and when you start a new game you're instantly in a skirmish with no real context as to why. This is a Japan exclusive title that you can fumble your way through thanks to a lot of English being used for the menus, so if this sort of thing is up your alley, then this might be worth a try. Rally D Europe by Prism Arts is the 2000 sequel to Rally D Africa that we've previously discussed on the channel before. This game is heavily influenced by Sega Rally Championship and features similar races where you have to work your way up the pack and actually overtake your rivals who are racing at the same time as you are. This is very much like Sega Rally and not like real rally racing where drivers are basically setting the best times on each stage instead of directly competing with other drivers at the same time. The big difference between Rally D Europe and Africa is that the races are now circuit-based instead of taking place across multiple stages, Sega Rally style. This means you now have a certain amount of laps to overtake everyone on the same circuit, and it does help differentiate it from Rally D Africa and Sega Rally. The influence is still there though, and it's a great little rally game if you're into off-road racing. It's another Japan exclusive, but thankfully it's pretty English friendly, so don't be too put off.
Final attack.
Real Robot's Final Attack is a 1998 arena fighter and a part of the Super Robot Wars franchise. This one-on-one fighting game lets you control various mecha from series like Gundam and Dragonar to duke it out in a remarkably similar setup to the Cyber Troopers Virtual On games. It's a stiff and cumbersome game to get to grips with, and it really feels like playing it with a standard controller is doing it a disservice, but I can't seem to find any evidence of it supporting anything other than the traditional digital PS1 controller. We've seen another PS1 game already that takes a similar approach called Project Gaia Ray, but I thought that one controlled pretty well with the standard PS1 controller, so that might be the one to try if you like Virtual On style arena fighters. Real Robot's Final Attack just feels like you have no real accuracy and all your actions feel really delayed and sludgy. It's a tough one to recommend, but it's still interesting to see Virtual On manage to influence 2 PS1 arena fighters. Finally, we're taking a look at 1995's Gunner's Heaven, which also made its way to Europe as Rapid Reload. This 2D run-and-gun game is clearly taking a lot from Gunstar Heroes. You can use 4 weapons that you can hot swap at any time, you can aim them in any direction, you can throw small enemies when you get up close and personal, you can also vault up platforms in a similar fashion to Gunstar. The game does introduce a new grappling hook feature that gives you temporary invincibility when you use it, but this also kind of mirrors the sliding from Gunstar Heroes, which makes you temporarily invulnerable. Even bosses have the same sort of health gauge that is displayed as a large number that counts down as they take damage. Gunner's Heaven was kind of unfairly maligned when it originally released, to the point that an American release was scrapped in favour of more technically advanced 3D titles. I think this is a pretty sad legacy for a game that is actually quite a lot of fun, and I would definitely recommend it to Gunstar fans because there's a lot to enjoy here. Sure, it's derivative, but it's also good fun, so why turn down more good games just because good games already exist? If that was everyone's attitude, then we'd have wrapped this whole game development thing up ages ago. And that's your lot for another Sega Driven video. Thanks as always to our wonderful Patreon backers who have financially supported the creation of this video. If you'd like to join their ranks and gain early access to videos and writing, then head on over to patreon.com/SegaDriven and consider becoming a backer. There's even a brand new Patreon exclusive Q&A video for you all to check out right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.